This podcast is sponsored by the Fargo-Moorhead West Fargo Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber is a catalyst for growth and prosperity and is here to protect and promote business, inspire innovation, cultivate communities, and influence action. Learn more at fmwfchamber.com.
Hi everyone, this is Tammy Swift, business reporter for the Forum, and I'll be bringing you the In-Forum Business Beat podcast this week. Let's kick things off with some of the stories we followed last week. Forum business reporter Helmut Schmidt reported that completion for the Brewhalla addition to Drecker Brewing's original building in Fargo remains on track for opening this fall. In December of 2020, Drecker announced its plans to add a 100,000 square foot expansion to its brewery and taproom at 1666 First Avenue North. That expansion includes a 22,000 square foot market featuring a mix of food, retail, and crafters and makers. Ashley Morgan, owner of Unglued, is moving her popular gift shop from the center of downtown to Brewhalla Market to expand her offerings. Blackbird Woodfire and Nicole's Fine Pastry and Cafe also plan to run satellite operations at the $20 million Brewhalla complex. Some of the other businesses expected to open here include a wine and raw bar, Duchessa Gelato, a Thunder Coffee second location, and a pottery studio. Dining and lounge spaces will surround the market, all under a giant skylight that should shower the four-story market atrium with natural light. In the meantime, Brewhalla has already begun booking weddings and events for its projected event center, and the 24-room hotel will start taking reservations for later this year. We all know the phrase that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. The latest example of this is illustrated in our latest Kid Bosses story on Livy Caroon, an 8-year-old Moorhead girl who has started a business called Livy's Luxury Lab. If Livy's name sounds familiar, it's probably because her mom, Laura Caroon, helped co-found Lady Boss FM, which has become a popular networking site for entrepreneurial women. But Laura says Livy came by her desire to start a business all by herself. Livy specializes in making colorful gem-shaped soaps, which sell for $6 each and have been sold through the Jade and Jasper boutique in West Fargo, as well as through events like the Unglued Craft Fest. After a 2-year hiatus caused by what else, COVID, TEDx Fargo is back. The long-awaited event will be held this Thursday at the Fargo Civic Center. In a possible first for any TEDx event, one of the speakers this year will be an avatar. TriDog will take the stage to discuss meme culture. The avatar will speak as a representative of the popular Doge meme, and we'll talk about the meme, digital culture, and non-fungible tokens, or NFTs. Another speaker expected to garner attention is Christopher Martin, the cashier who accepted a counterfeit $20 bill from George Floyd at a Minneapolis Cub Foods in May of 2020. This led to the 911 call and Floyd's death at the hands of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin. According to the TEDx website, Martin will share, quote, a powerful story of how personal tragedy can lead to redemption if we are willing to rise. For a look at the full lineup or to purchase tickets, visit TEDxFargo.com. Finally, we'll be chatting with Robin Nelson, Chief Executive Officer of the Boys and Girls Clubs of the Red River Valley, on an issue that has grown even more challenging for working parents today: access to affordable childcare. Helmut Schmidt reported on a local chamber panel on the topic, and Nelson, who moderated the event, will be here to talk about some of the issues and findings.
So, hi, Robin. Welcome, and thank you for visiting with us today.
Hi, Tammy. Nice to see you.
So most of us are aware that childcare has been a challenge for most working parents out there, but I was especially surprised by some of the statistics shared during the chamber event. One of the chamber panelists who runs a couple of childcare centers in Fargo shared a sobering statistic on the wait lists, saying she has as many as 700 families on her waiting list right now. Is this fairly standard for most childcare centers today?
Well, it really depends on the size of the center. I think that parents are registering at multiple sites, just hoping to get into the first one that has an opening. Some of the reasons for the limitations in how many children we can serve, we do need 35 square foot per child. So there are space limitations, and there are also staffing limitations. So we are kind of a ratio-based industry, if you will. So for every one staff, they can care for up to 4 infants. But for every one staff for school agers, we can care for up to 20 students. So it's very, very dependent on our labor. And I think that's probably one of the biggest factors that we're seeing right now.
I see. So you kind of have answered that. So that is probably one of the factors in the shortage. Are there other factors as well?
Well, I think our competitive job market right now, it's very hard. Not only are there not workers, but we're having to pay them more. So how do we pay them more and still remain affordable for our families? So the childcare workforce industry is not unlike any other industry in this country. So we are biting and scratching for quality employees. And we want to make sure that we have quality because our kids and parents deserve quality care for their children.
Absolutely. I mean, it seems like such a balancing act. It's like you have to keep it affordable for parents, yet childcare providers have to be able to afford paying it, and childcare workers have to get a living wage. So it really is one of the tough balancing acts out there, isn't it?
Absolutely. And it's very, very cyclical. And this is not news to me. A profit to own a childcare business, and I don't own Boys and Girls Clubs. This is a nonprofit, but childcare operators have a very slim profit margin, and to the tune of about 3%. So it's very tight budgets. And then how do we retain that quality so we're desirable childcare as well? So I think the term you used was correct, a balancing act.
Absolutely. And from what I read in Helmut's story, childcare costs tend to impact lower income families more than more affluent families.
I think it's just a percentage. We would charge our families the same amount. Let me take that back. Most businesses, for-profit businesses, would charge their families the same amount, regardless of their income level, unless they can offset it with grants or a sliding fee or donors like I do in my nonprofit. But so yes, it's just like everything else. It's a larger percentage of their income. However, there is childcare financial assistance through the government that comes down through the federal government through block grant that come back down through the states and then meted out to the counties for qualifying families.
Okay, so how can people find out about that? Like where they need to go for help?
Yeah, they're administered through in Cass County here, but typically you need to be registered with a provider in order to apply for childcare financial assistance. So again, that's kind of a chicken or egg thing, because if you're not accepted into a licensed childcare, you can't really apply for assistance. So that's maybe one of those red tape things that we need administrative pieces that we need to look at together.
Yeah, it reminds me of you need experience to get a job, but how do you get a job if you don't have, exactly. One of those chicken or egg, as you said. Yeah. So, and I know during the panel, you had specifically pointed out that there is a financial cliff ahead regarding this issue. Can you explain what you mean by that?
Sure. We were very blessed. I shouldn't say we were blessed during COVID, but we were taken care of with some federal dollars to keep not only we as childcare operators open, but also affordable for our families. So a lot of those dollars are starting to we're weaning off of a lot of those right now. And about the same time, we operators are losing some of these what we call childcare stabilization grants. The same time, our parents are losing out on an additional benefit for childcare financial assistance. So a lot of people don't know right now. The state of North Dakota has made it possible through federal dollars for any family that qualifies for any percentage of child care financial assistance. 100% of that assistance will be covered.
Wow.
And so that's an addition. But then they also upped the number of families that could qualify. They use different poverty levels based on median income here in North Dakota. And prior to COVID, it was based on 60% of that percentage or of that amount, and they bumped it up to 85. Therefore, 25% more families can qualify. So we have families that are, we haven't had to raise rates for our families just due to the stabilization funds. And that's what they were intended to do, to keep us in business. And we are considered essential workers, but everything's going to hit at the same time. And we're going to have to make some tough decisions. And our families are going to need to make some tough decisions. And what we really focused on during the event yesterday was not only is this a child care concern or a family concern, it's a business concern, it's an economic concern, because we heard from a wonderful new mother yesterday that quit her job at the EDC because she could not find childcare. So I feel that this is very much a community issue. I think it is what we really need to capitalize on the momentum that we have right now, because this region very much is receptive to business concerns and economic concerns. And Tammy, I've been working on this for 10 years, and some other providers have been working on it for 25. And now we're finally starting to get some attention so we can move this forward. Because one of the panels yesterday said, it's broken, but it's fixable.
Mm. So there is hope.
Well, there is hope, but we need help. We can't do it on our own, especially to keep it affordable for families. And we know that when kids are in a safe and nurturing environment, not only is it better for them, but it is better for their parents at work. Their parents can be more productive. So, and then we also have another segment of our workforce that have odd hours. So our night and overnight shifts, that's a whole nother gap that I don't even know where to start with on that.
We don't even think about that, do we? Yes. Well, we're even thinking of struggling from 8 to 5, but how about all these other shift workers? And yeah, absolutely.
I appreciate how people are starting to understand how complex of an industry it is. It's quite regulated. It is written in North Dakota Century Code. I can't really speak to the Minnesota side of the river, but we have been working extensively with our state legislature on this for years.
Right. And so, yeah, that was my next question, is basically lack of high quality yet affordable childcare has been an issue for years. I mean, I've been hearing about it for some time. Why has it been so difficult to solve? Is it just such a big, complex problem?
I think a lot of it has to do with keeping sadly, the wages lower for our child care frontline workers, so we can keep it affordable for families. And it's kind of cannibalizing ourselves, if you will. And we're just barely staying afloat, but everything is, like everything else, has been exacerbated through COVID. And it's really exposed some gaps in our industry that hopefully, like I said, we have the momentum and some partnerships so we can move this forward finally.
Right. So what do experts say is the solution? And I know I'm asking you a huge question here. I mean, do parents need to rally? Do employers need to get involved? I mean, is it just a huge collaboration, or what is the answer?
Well, it depends on who you define as an expert to be, whether that's an economist. I think we need, I think what you just sparked some interest in me, not only are child care providers experts, but also legislators, economists, business people, the education fields, all of the above. The more people we can get involved in this conversation, I think the better. And a lot of people are starting to pay more attention now, from business groups across the state, the chamber. There's some lobbyist groups that have been contacting me. So again, I really don't want a fragmented approach from all of the providers. I would like a cohesive approach so we can actually move forward and get something done, starting at the state legislative level. And I think that's the practical place to start, just due to not only the funding, but they are in charge of the regulatory components in this industry.
Sure. So people should let their legislators know if
Absolutely.
they feel like they need more support in this area.
If they need some more support, or just even letting your legislators know this is important to me. Even though I don't have children right now, I did, and I was in that position, and we went without food so we could pay for childcare. Childcare right now, the annual cost rivals what a college education would cost. And parents will pay that, not only for the quality, but for the convenience. So, a lot of times parents will say we can't get into a childcare, but it's maybe they can get into one an hour and a half away. So again, it's just an accessibility, affordability. It's a sustainability issue for the operators, but then also a regulatory issue. So I would say anybody who wants to sit at the table are welcome.
I love that. Well, let's hope we can all work together to find an answer, because our parents need some help here and our kids deserve the best care we can give them.
Yep.
Thank you.
And let's not forget about the businesses, because we are going to need them. We've been doing this for a long time, parents and providers, but we need some business help as well.
You are absolutely right. This also makes good business sense, doesn't it?
It sure does.
So, thank you so much, Robin, for joining us today and sharing your expertise and your views. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Tammy. Have a great day.
That's going to do it for this episode of the Forum's Business Beat podcast. I'm your host, Tammy Swift. Thomas Evanello will be back next week to bring you the latest business news. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, and for more business coverage, visit us at inforum.com/business.
Inforum is proud to be a part of The Trust Project. Learn more at thetrustproject.org.